Okay, this is a short training video on using the Seldinger technique for performing a surgical cricothyrotomy in the can't intubate, can't ventilate scenario. Now generally at Nepean we are not using the Seldinger technique for routine surgical airways, if there is such a thing. We performed a study a couple of years back and the open technique was much faster and much more successful and much more comfortable for people compared to the Seldinger technique. However, we feel it may have a place in the surgical cricothyrotomy in obese patients, and we're actually about to perform a study comparing the Seldinger technique with open technique for obese airways. So this is a short training video, in part leading up to that study and also in the situation where you might have an obese airway and you might want to try Seldinger rather than an open surgical airway. So here's the equipment that comes in the Melker kit. We have the Cook's catheter and the cannula, which is this is the short needle, but they've got the extra long needle depending on what kind of anatomy you've got in front of you. An extra syringe to blow the balloon up. This is the self-contained surgical airway, and you can see the dilator and catheter is in a single device, and this is the scalpel that comes with the kit. You may want to use a different scalpel or a bigger scalpel, but this is the one that comes with the kit, and obviously being a needle over wire technique, it comes with the wire. Okay, so generally looking at this catheter, the key is to hold it like that or hold it like that so that you're inserting the dilator as one piece rather than the catheter telescoping down the dilator and making it problematic. If you hold this and you start inserting it, you may get to the stage where it telescopes down and that you can't actually insert it because the dilator is not actually there. Okay, so again the key point here is hold it like that or like that in the one piece, but as long as most of the holding is on the dilator. Now another problem we found is using the Seldinger technique is people weren't making a big enough incision. So what we advise and what the instructions actually say is to make the incision first rather than putting the needle and wire in and then making the incision around it. Okay, so starting off the procedure, we have the scalpel, thyroid cartilages here, and generally a 2 to 3 centimetre incision is going to be adequate. So we make that incision there, make sure it's through the dermis and into the subcutaneous tissue. Now, as opposed to the open techniques, we are not going to then stab the cricothyroid membrane in a sort of stab and twist motion. Everything else comes with the needle and the dilator. Okay, so you're just going to put that there in the emergency situation. We have the needle here through, and you're going to aspirate as you come through, and once you're in the space you have air there. Wire goes in, again holding the needle. So the wire goes in there like that. Needle comes out, always hold the wire. Dilator comes on there. Even without my glasses I can manage to thread that through, but always hold the wire, either hold the wire here or hold the wire there. So holding the wire here, holding the dilator obviously, 90 degrees so that you go through the cricothyroid membrane more easily than at an angle, and it just goes through there like that, insert it up to the hilt, and everything comes out in the one motion. I will always insufflate prior to blowing up the balloon. By the time you got to this stage, the saturations might be 30, 40, 50%. You're not going to feel like blowing the balloon up. You're going to feel like touching the bag and giving it a few breaths. Blowing the balloon up, pretty straightforward. It's a 5mm syringe. So it goes up like that. And that's really to create a seal. It's not really to keep it in. You're going to tie it in. Usually the kit comes with a tie. Obviously not too tight around the neck, but worst case scenario, you just hold it for the duration until you're happy that it's secure. Alright, so that completes the demonstration. Thank you very much.